Hey there, and welcome to GamePoints episode 129, our weekly get-together. We talk about the past week in gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
David.
It's a very enthusiastic David, I might add.
Yeah. It's a happy Monday.
Doesn't seem like it, but...
It's been a long weekend.
Yeah, fair enough. Tonight, for the show, we have some Devil May Cry rumors, some interesting things possibly coming out of Capcom there. We are going to get into... Let me take a look at my docket here, actually. What are we getting into tonight? As I suddenly black out. Oh, some of this weird shit that WB is teasing.
We're getting into like that pre-E3 week where there's just like potential leaks, but also just rumors abound. So we're just talking about stuff that we think is probably true-ish.
Yeah, and we are going to be addressing a couple of the leaks from last week. Not getting too deep of a dive in them. You've all heard them at this point. More just what we feel about them as opposed to actual facts or anything around them. Just kind of a general, okay, we were like this or that or any other thing. Just letting y'all know, if you happen to be watching us live here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, we do broadcast every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and feel free to join in the conversation. This is an audience interactive podcast, and we do try to get to chat whenever we can. So type in whatever you want to talk about, questions, comments, concerns, and all that good stuff. If you have to watch us on YouTube, feel free to also comment down below as well, and we try to get to you regardless of where you're watching us at. Like, subscribe, dislike, throw bits at or whatever. You guys know this typical e-beggar stuff that people do on this thing, so I don't feel the need to go over it, but I am going to mention it at least.
Talk at me in chat.
David.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and get this off your chest, because you seemed really just salty about what was announced today.
Okay, so this is funny. This was from earlier today. This is actually from the Rockstar Games newsletter that they have, and they announced some additions for Red Dead Redemption 2 that are coming out. There's the base game, there's the special edition, there's the ultimate edition, and there's the collector's box. Because of course there is. Why wouldn't you? But it gets a little weird. Now I don't need the Watch Dogs spreadsheet, but it's still
that infamous Watch Dogs spreadsheet where it was here's
your the 17 different
17 collector's editions spread out over 8 different consoles.
That you also need to go to different retailers to get all the stuff for it, because Best Buy has an exclusive and game.
Yeah.
At least there's not that. The editions, no matter where you buy them, are gonna have the same things. Most of them have digital bonuses, but the funny thing is that anybody that pre-orders the game gets a special horse and a survival kit for their character. So just pre-ordering it, you get some digital stuff. If you buy the special edition, you get that stuff and another horse, a story mode bank heist for the main game, because yes, in a game about playing a cowboy, they need a DLC bank heist.
Now, Rockstar has come out. They did a tweet saying this will not affect the story content at all, to which I say, if it is so unimportant, why should I spend anything extra to have it to begin with?
Yep. Yeah, so you get bank robbery mission, you get a gang hideout, you get another horse, you get some gameplay bonuses, you get some boots, you can make money quicker, you get another outfit, you get more guns.
See,
other people don't get.
Before we go on, I am going to get a little salty over this myself, because back specifically on that DLC, because there's only 2 ways you could take up this pre-order DLC mission bullshit. It's either 1, why the fuck should I pay for it if you're pay gating off important parts of the game that you feel justified in releasing, or 2, it's so irrelevant, why should I pay for it if it's not worth putting on a disc to begin with? Either way, why the fuck should I spend money on this?
Because it doesn't come in a loot box.
Nah. Lame.
Yeah, okay.
Holy shit. Okay, hold on. I got to put a stop to you right now. We have had, just now, and if you're watching this on YouTube, it doesn't matter, but just now we have had our first ever subscriber. I'd like to give a shout out to Coco for Tacos for being the first man, woman, I think you're a man, I think you said you're a man, to ever subscribe to the channel. Thank you. It is truly appreciated. Thank you so much. I need to actually get emotes in there so you have something to do with your subscription other than nothing.
He's too late. He doesn't know how the internet works. Anyway, so that's the special edition. The ultimate edition, which you pay, a little bit more money for, has yet another horse and some more outfits and another camp and more weapons and rank bonuses, so you level up quicker.
That's another thing I can't.
Also,
I'm going to derail you one more time.
At all, you get money for Grand Theft Auto 5.
That's that cross promotion they've learned from Blizzard.
Yep. But here's my absolute favorite.
Before you go on to your absolute favorite, I need to get a little bit salty over this thing too. Specifically like the rank bonuses and the timed experience gains.
Yeah.
Why the fuck should I pay to make the game shorter? Either A, your game is good enough on its own, in which case, why am I spending money to make it shorter?
This is an opposite argument for me because I completely understand why you'd pay to make a game shorter.
Yes,
you don't have that much free time.
And that's what I'm about to get to B, though. Why is your game so fucking grindy that I need to make it shorter? I hate this crap. I hate it. I hate it so much. But let's get to the final thing.
Okay, well, we got to talk. This is the reason I wanted to talk about this in the first place. So the last thing that Rockstar announced for the Red Dead Redemption 2 is the collector's box that you can get. That comes with a metal box with a lock and key and a collectible coin and a puzzle, like an actual legitimate puzzle, a bandana, a treasure map, some pins, playing cards, a catalog, some more cigarette cards, all this stuff, right? It doesn't come with a fucking game.
Not at all. Not at fucking all. And that is...
It's
and
a
how much...
$100 box of bullshit that's vaguely related to Red Dead Redemption 2, and it doesn't come with the damn game.
Now, do we know this is $100? Because it does not say that on the page I was just looking at.
I saw another article, but it wasn't from Rockstar, so I can't confirm it. But the prices being tossed around for these different editions were... it was $69, $79, and $99 for this one.
So, once again, Rockstar addressed your concern on this, about how it's $100 or whatever the price it is, with no game in it. Rockstar themselves came out and said, that's because we want you to be able to spend your money on the game that you want, the version of the game that you want. So, in other words, if you want it digital, you don't miss out on all this stuff. If you want it physical, you don't miss out on all this stuff. What's your response to that?
Fuck you. If you're going to buy a fucking collector's edition, you probably want the game on disc because you are a collector.
Yeah, I'm of that same opinion. Plus, everything in that is not worth $100, and Coco even says no rolling paper, which would be amazing because it is supposed to be the Old West. If it came with like a box of tobacco and some rolling paper, but that would just you immediately make your game the kiss of death because it would get slapped with the AO rating. It'll be treated like cigarettes and everything like that. Even just having just rolling paper itself in there would be considered paraphernalia. But
it's easy as good as the collector's edition of the original Assassin's Creed game. Remember when it was supposed to come with like a statue of the main character, and it turns out it was like this little tiny tin box that came with a figure about 3 inches tall?
Oh, that's also reminiscent of the Dead Space 2 Collector's Edition, which is like comes with a replica plasma cutter, and it turned out to be about like that big.
It's the size of a Matchbox car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're really excited for some Red Dead Redemption 2 bullshit, you can get right on that.
Man, that stuff like that just sucks the hype out of that game.
Anyway, but come on, guys.
Yeah, shit like that is anti-hype for me.
Yeah.
It just sucks the love out for me. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next story. Somewhat breaking. This was all came out today, but this is also one of those worst, or not today, but late last night. But it's also one of those worst kept secrets in games. We kind of know this is coming, and this is just more evidence toward it. I appreciate it, Coco, by the way. I know we stream late for you. Have a good sleep, and we'll catch you next time. Next story is coming from Reset Era, but it is via Reset Era, but the source is Pale Moon from the DMC Discord.
I think that's a stupid way to say that name, and everybody should say Resetera.
Resetera?
Yeah.
Either way, here's the story right here. Apparently, Devil May Cry 5 domain has been registered, and the Resident Evil 2 domain has been updated, plus a few more bits. One of the worst kept secrets in gaming industry is that Devil May Cry 5 is coming. Everyone kind of knows this is happening. The rumor was it was supposed to debut at PSX, but it got shifted around last second because Sony wanted PSX to be a little bit different, and they wanted a really big E3. We don't know if it's going to be premiering on the Sony stage at E3 or not, but that was what the hot rumor was. But for the longest time, for at least 6 to 8 months now, rumors of Devil May Cry 5 have been coming. Well, this kind of gives a little bit more credence because this company here, the GMO Internet Group, has registered DevilMayCry5.com. Who the fuck of GMO Internet Group, you might ask? Well, they're the same people that registered Monster Hunter World and ResidentEvil7.com for Capcom in the past. So this company has dealt with these guys before.
All right, that's fine.
Makes sense?
Yeah. I also like the fact that it's actually Devil May Cry 5 and not DMC 2.
Yeah, and we'll get into that, actually. There's also some movement on ResidentEvil2.com. Actually, if you click the ResidentEvil2.com website, it says okay. But if you look up here, let me see if it popped up. Am I getting this to pop up at all? No, it's not popping up. But it is on the image is on the reseller forum. It does have the little Capcom logo on the tab showing it is from the official Capcom site. Either way, it looks like we're going to be getting information on both Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 2 Remake sometime soon, likely during E3. David, what do you think about these two games?
Well, the Resident Evil 2 Remake, I am super hyped for. Hey, Fuse. And Resident Evil 2 was one of my favorite PlayStation games, so I'm really excited to get back into that world and see where it goes and play one of my favorite games, but like Resident Evil 4, which is still my favorite Resident Evil, just
Fair
for
enough.
raw gameplay.
I'm excited for it because Resident Evil 2 was my favorite of the classic if you take 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Include
Code Veronica.
I'll include Code Veronica, that, sure. Until they made the remake of the first Resident Evil on GameCube, and that was such an amazing remake. I was like, this is it. This is what I want. So to hear they're giving Resident Evil 2, which was my favorite of the original classic trilogy, or quintology, or whatever the hell you want to call it, that same quadrology?
No, just give up.
That same treatment is like, yes, I am excited to see where this goes. As for Devil May Cry, I did not hate DMC. I appreciated what Ninja Theory was trying to do with it. I liked a lot of stuff behind it. I felt it made unnecessary fun of its fans every now and then, specifically like when the white wig falls on Dante's black hair and he's like, nah, this is dumb, and throws it off. That said, I'm glad they're not doing DMC 2 like you mentioned and going actual DMC 5.
It's because more people care about Virgil.
I agree.
Let's be real.
And the rumor is that this is a direct continuation of Devil May Cry 4. These are all just rumors, by the way. Not even the game itself has officially been confirmed yet, so take everything I'm saying here with a grain of salt. But like I said, it's one of those worst kept secrets in the video game industry. The rumor is it's going to have Virgil in it, it'll have Dante in it, and it will have Nero from Devil May Cry 4 in it.
Fun.
And apparently the rumor is that Nero might be the half-human child of Virgil.
Fancy.
Fuse, we are talking about recent Capcom leaks about sites getting updated, specifically DevilMayCry5.com and ResidentEvil2.com. More pre-E3 leaks, essentially. But honestly, I think we've wrapped up that topic, unless you want to add anything else to it before we move on to the next.
Nah, well, I'm sure we'll just keep getting a bunch of rumors and stuff until E3 actually happens and we have real stuff to talk about.
Yeah. See, we're getting a lot of these leaks and everything right now. Some of them are legitimate leaks. But in the case of the next one, they are deliberately teasing things to get out ahead of the massive deluge of information we're going to be getting next week. Because who cares about your AA or even like your lower end AAA games when you have things like Death Stranding to talk about, when you have whatever the hell Microsoft is going to talk about, whenever you have Anthem. There is too much information coming out in the next week that some of these companies have to tease and get ahead of it, so at least it's fresh in people's mind. And this is going to be an example of that coming up here in a second, and that is what WB is teasing over on their Twitter. W Games put this up today. Let the countdown begin in 72 hours. Watch live reveal this Thursday at 10 a.m. Live WB Games. Let's see if we can't get this to reset here. I don't think we're going to be able to. This little video, it's kind of freaking out right now, was a pit crew working on a bunch of stuff. Essentially, they're getting ready to start the race. All you need to know is that WB is teasing something that's going to be revealed later this week, and it sounds like it is more or less going to be... That's not it. There we go.
It's just
Hitman.
Oh, yeah? You think it's Hitman?
Well, I almost positive it's Hitman because the guys at IO Interactive that run the Hitman account straight up uploaded something that says, Good afternoon, 47. The profiles have been uploaded. Your next target is target incoming with, that access denied until June 7th, 2018. Matches the date, matches the time. The Hitman account kind of spoiled what the WB account was teasing.
It's just weird the WB account has those people working on a car. It's very strange.
So a lot of people were thinking maybe this is what Rocksteady is going to show off for, because WB clearly they're doing something, and Rocksteady's publishers are WB, and the hot rumor is they're working on a Superman game. This is not going to be that reveal. This is going to be Hitman. I can almost guarantee it. It's not something I would bet the farm on, but it's definitely.
Is that why there's a dude zipping up his pit crew coat? Because it's the Hitman guy, and he's gonna murder the driver or some nonsense, and then race the car. New Hitman game's got racing in it, confirmed.
It could be the first mission in Hitman 2 is Monaco, like at the Monaco Speedway. Because a lot of rich, famous assholes go there, and he could be trying to target some celebrity or dignitary or something like that. There are a couple things that more or less prove this is going to be Hitman 2, by the way. And it mainly involves the fact that the logo for Hitman 2 was leaked earlier today. I don't have it handy because they took it down. But the source of the leak was from the Warner Brother Games themselves. Like, they accidentally put it up on their website and then immediately took it down. So for all of you guys hoping that this is the Rocksteady's rumored Superman game or whatever the hell Rocksteady's working on, this ain't going to be it. This is going to be a Hitman 2 or Season 2 or something, but it's going to be Hitman related. David, how do you feel about Hitman? I know Fuse is asking that in chat.
I like the Hitman games. Not like crazy ecstatic to play them, and I'm running out to buy them day one, but it's something that I'll like tend to pick up eventually and screw around with, just because you can do kind of funny stuff in those games.
I have not played the new Hitman, the episodic Hitman. I'm told it's amazing. I
like anything that lets me do stealth.
Same here.
As a general rule. And since Metal Gear is dead and I'm not getting a new one, I kind of have to rely on
what about Metal Gear Survive,
outlet.
man? Come on. Free demo of that coming up.
They could give me a copy, and I would just throw it away.
They couldn't even pay you to play it. Let me make perfectly clear, Konami. If you wanted to physically pay me to play Metal Gear Survive, I will play Metal Gear Survive. I could probably find enough fun in that game to be paid to play it. As for Hitman, going back to the topic on hand, there's few things more satisfying in a video game than getting like the perfect assassin ranking in those games, where you go in, you're never seen, you only kill the target, and you get out with no one seeing you either.
That's the greatest.
Especially if you're able to do it like on the first time. It's that same feeling that you get when you kill Dark Souls or Bloodborne boss the very first time you encounter it. Like you feel like a goddamn god. So what turned me off from this Hitman Season 1, as it were, was the Season 1 idea.
The whole episodic thing you didn't want.
I absolutely loathe episodic content. I get why some people like it. It is not for me. So I waited until the entire game was released, which it has been. But at this point, it's kind of an old game. And it's on my list. It is something I want to go visit again. In fact, talking about it kind of makes me want to buy it so I can play through it right now. But for me, episodic, it's that anti-hype we were talking about earlier. I hear that and immediately it drops my desire level down a notch.
Yeah,
and
I
now
can see that. You don't want little bits and pieces of a game.
Right. So, like, imagine, let's say something gets hype. I'm going to use Anthem for the example here. Anthem, okay, it's right about here. BioWare, okay, a little bit higher up. Okay. And then Mass Effect Andromeda releases, and Mass Effect Andromeda is anti-hype for me for Anthem. So my hype level goes down a little bit. And then I hear it's going to be an engaging sci-fi story. It starts going up. That has multiplayer in it, and it starts going back down. There are certain things that take a game from buy day one to buy 2 weeks from now, buy it on sale, never buy it. Those items that make that level of interest drop are anti-hype. It might not be anything wrong with the game fundamentally. The game itself could be solid, could be good, could be great for all I know. But certain practices make me push it off till later. Loot boxes are another one of those things, for example. If it didn't have that, I might have bought it day one. If Anthem didn't have all the multiplayer stuff and sound like it was Destiny, I might have bought it day one. But since they are pushing the multiplayer aspect to it, same thing. To tie it back, episodic content is one of those attributors. I hear episodic content, I immediately just don't buy it day one.
Yeah, it's You don't like things like that. I still like the idea of it, just because you can get a chunk of a game and try it out, as opposed to dropping $60 a game or waiting for reviews. It's like if an episode is $8, it's $8. Maybe I'll give it a shot. See what's going on. See if I actually enjoy it, and if I love it, then maybe I'll come back for the next one, and maybe I'll come back for the next one. But I do get the idea that by the time the next episode comes out, you've moved on to another game and you don't want to go back, and so that's why I think Hitman did a poor. Well, I don't want to say it did poor, but it didn't do what they were expecting as far as sales, because people didn't stay with it. Is at least what it looked like from the outside.
Right. So there are there are a couple schools of thought as to why you do that. And one is to keep someone invested in your game, so you keep coming back to it multiple times throughout the year, so you don't trade it in or you spend more money on suits or DLC and the like. And they can also possibly crank out more money from you if someone decides to buy it all piecemeal instead of at once. My problem with episodic is that I've been tainted with it literally since the word go, and not through the idea. I heard the idea and I was like, okay, cool. Smaller bites of content spread out over a couple of years, but we're going to get it more frequently. Rather than waiting 2 or 3 years for a new game to come out, we will get a new game over the course of a year. Mm-hmm. Now, I was cool with that. But let us not forget the very first game to tease with this idea. And because it was so mishandled and fucked up, I have been soured on the idea of episodic content ever since then. Can you guess what game I'm talking about?
Is it Final Fantasy VII?
It is Half-Life Episode 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go back to there and the game that never came out.
They were the Half-Life 2 episodes, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
They were
Half-Life 2 is a full game that came out that then had a cliffhanger, and then you got Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2, which were extra chunks to that game, all of which is phenomenal. And yeah,
these were all supposed to be released within 6 months of each other or something like that. And because of how Valve bungled that up, the idea of episodic content has always just been, unfairly, I admit, has just always been tainted in my mind and has never been able to overcome that stigma for me.
Man, I try not to think about Half-Life because it's upsetting.
It is what it is, though. So,
that's rough.
To cap this off, all signs are pointing to Hitman being a Hitman 2 or Season 2 officially being announced Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, I assume. I don't think I actually saw a time zone on there, so I can only assume they mean Pacific Standard Time.
So you want a full game? You want a whole big
I want
Hitman
a full
2,
game.
$60, you get the whole thing, play your game, have fun?
Absolutely. I would buy Hitman 2 in an episodic content release if they offered Hitman 1 for free. You know how we see that every now and then?
Oh, yeah.
Like, South Park did it. That's the biggest one I can think of it recently. When you buy the, what was the new one? The Fractured Butthole, you got Stick of Truth for free. If they offered me Hitman 1 for free, okay, I'd probably buy an episodic Hitman 2 because I have a full game to play.
Makes sense.
But all signs seem to be pointing to that. If you were hoping it was Rocksteady's new thing, that's unlikely. In fact, my belief is, I should have made an E3 prediction, I think we're going to see Rocksteady's new game at Microsoft's conference. I just a gut feeling that they're going to announce if I want to go out on a ledge, my gut is they're going to announce that Rocksteady, and it's going to be a Superman game, and it's going to be at Microsoft's conference. But we'll see in a couple days, because E3 is less than a goddamn week away. At least the conferences start less than a week away.
Yeah, and we got to talk about a whole bunch of it.
Yeah, that's going to be a long show.
Sony's going to end like 4 minutes right before we start, so we're going to have to...
They always end almost 30 minutes before we go live, so that is one hell of a rush job to get everything ready.
Yeah, if you think we're disorganized now, check us out next week.
Anyways, I think I've rambled on enough about that. Dave, why don't you go ahead and lead on our next story here?
I never think you'd stop. But yeah, so this is a story about Bungie, and it's not Anthem related. It's actually not anything that we know of related, but...
Well, I got to stop you real quick, David. Why would Bungie be involved with Anthem at all? That's a BioWare game.
Destiny, whatever.
See, I understand that Destiny and Anthem really give off very similar vibes, and I would forgive you for making such a mistake if it wasn't that you were the one that brought this story up to me to start with.
That's true. Whatever, man. I'm tired. Okay, so Bungie is now partnered with NetEase. NetEase? Who the hell's that? Well, NetEase is a pretty large Chinese gaming company who threw $100 million into Bungie for a minority stake in the company. So, yep, they're a big Chinese internet tech company, and they basically gatekeep a lot of Blizzard games in China. So we don't know exactly what they're investing for, but more likely than not, they're going to partner up on some kind of Chinese release for something like maybe a mobile game, who knows? Maybe we get a Destiny card game.
From Bungie.net. Today, we're excited to announce that we've entered in a new partnership with NetEase to help us explore new directions. With their industry expertise, they'll empower us to build new worlds and invite players new and old to join us there. They'll help us to support separate teams inside Bungie to bring our newest ambitions to life. You've more or less covered everything in here. NetEase are the guys who kind of allow the Blizzard games into China, which makes sense why Activision would be teaming up with them because they already have that relationship through Blizzard. Bungie, of course, longtime partnerships with Activision. It makes sense. We don't know what's coming from here other than the fact that they've invested $100 million into Bungie for a minority stake. Keep in mind, this is not just $100 million to make something. NetEase has a minority shareholder stake in Bungie now. They technically own part of that company, if I'm reading this right.
Yeah, a minority stake. I think just they own whatever $100 million.
They might own like 2% or 5%, less than 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think this could be? Do you think it's Destiny related? Do you think it's a new IP? Do you think that a Destiny port over to China might be included in this?
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be some kind of mobile release, like a Destiny themed something on phones.
I don't think it's going to be Destiny themed at all. I do think it's going to be a new IP from Bungie, but it would not surprise me at all to learn that it is 100% mobile based, because that market it's big over here to a degree, but it kind of relies on whales. But overseas, specifically like in China and Southeast Asia, the mobile market is booming. So, I mean, that's where the money's at. So I can see that being the case, what's going on here.
I'm just thinking whatever this is, we're not going to even see it.
Like, yeah, this is not going... I mean, we might see it over in the States, but it's not going to really be focused over here. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like you're alluding to, it doesn't even get translated.
Mm-hmm.
This could be like, you know how Remedy is working on Crossfire 2? One of Remedy's new games is Crossfire 2. It's a sequel to a first-person shooter over in Southeast Asia. I think it's actually Korean. I'm not positive on that. But it just will never see the light of day over here. I think it's going to be something along those lines as far as regionality goes. So, Fuse, when I say IP in reference to a game, this is a good question. Sometimes I get a little inside baseball, and not everyone knows what we're talking about. So don't feel stupid. Perfectly valid question. IP stands for intellectual property. So when I say making a new IP, that is going to be something that doesn't already exist in some form or another. So, for example...
It's a new idea, a new concept.
Yeah. So, for example, if Square releases Kingdom Hearts 3, that is part of the Kingdom Hearts intellectual property. That is theirs. They own it. It's not an original game. When BioWare first announced Mass Effect, go all the way back to the first game, BioWare was saying, our hot new intellectual property will take you to the farthest reaches of the universe, because there has never been another Mass Effect before. It's the first time they created that universe. It's the first in that franchise. That was a new IP. So when I say a new IP, it's like David there said, something that we have not seen before, a new story of some kind. Now, mechanically, it could play like any number of games out there.
Man, you have way too many words to say. It's a new idea.
The thing is, I have to be a little bit clear for that, because if you just say it's a new idea, then, and if you have no idea where the base for IP starts with, then you could arguably say that Fortnite and PUBG are the same IP. But they're not.
No, because that's similar gameplay.
That's why you have to be detailed, because you said that it's a new idea. But if you think those two games are the same idea, I am literally... I'm trying to explain it to someone who has no idea what any of this is. And I could be doing a piss poor job of it.
Yeah, I give up. I don't want to talk about
it. Either way,
it's too much.
Fair enough. And it's totally all right to ask those questions, by the way. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it, and I don't think this is something we're ever going to see over here. And the only thing I have to say is I'm shocked it's not Tencent.
That is true. Tencent's the guys that got all the money and
In
bring
fact,
all
I
the
think
games.
Tencent owns a stake in Activision.
Tencent owns lots of stuff.
Oh, I need to double check that before. Why don't you go ahead and kick off our new story here?
Okay, well, let's back this up a little. What do you think is the funniest way you've heard of a new video game being leaked that you can think of in the last few years? I mean, there's Twitter posts and stuff like that happens.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This is when someone on the Montreal train that was working for Square Enix had their laptop open and they were working on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and the passenger behind them reached over their shoulder and just snapped a picture of their laptop.
See, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I liked the just internal email for EA, where it was, here's the stuff we're going to talk about coming next spring, and someone just like took that and turned it into a postcard and like sent it out. And we knew about those like independent games that are coming out. EA.
Do you remember what?
Christ.
When
they had their little program to bring.
It was the equivalent to their EA Indies program. I can't remember what it was called. EA Creates. Was it EA Creates?
Whatever that was, and there was just this little piece of paper that had all the information on it, and they just like sent it out, and then we knew everything that was coming out for the next 2 years from that.
Yeah, it was program. Like a Way Out, Fee, the Yarny game, Unraveled. Was that EA?
Yeah, but as fun as those are, I think this one might be the best. In a leak from earlier this week, due to there being a damn keychain with a logo on it, we now know about Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
And to Ubisoft's credit, they didn't deny it. They just came out.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, they just came out and put this little teaser out right here. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, see you at E3, and it's a picture of one Greek guy kicking the shit out of another Greek guy. Think 300. We've all seen the Leonidas memes. You know what they're getting at here. They essentially did the same thing that Bethesda did with Rage 2, right?
Yep.
Maybe not in such a comedic way, but they're just like, well, fuck, the cat's out of the bag. Here you go. This is clearly coming. Likely, this game is going to be before March 2019, by the way, because Ubisoft did say in their fiscal report recently that there is one more unannounced AAA game that we'll see before the end of fiscal year. Keep in mind, fiscal year does end in March because corporations are fucking weird. And this is clearly going to be ancient Greece as the setting. David, what do you think? Did you ever play Origins, by the way?
I'm highly upset about this information.
Why is that?
Because of the fact that the best Assassin's Creed game that's come out in recent memory is the one they took their damn time on and they waited a year to release it. This game coming out in March is not them waiting. This is them using the same damn engine, probably reusing a bunch of assets, changing some textures, and shitting out an Assassin's Creed game.
So here's
I could be entirely wrong.
I get that vibe.
But that's just the feeling I get from it being like, hey, there's another one coming out in less than a year from now.
I absolutely understand that vibe. Keep in mind, we have no official date on this yet, so it could be end of year next year.
See,
that would be 2 years instead of.
I just don't like the
months.
rushing idea of the announcement of like it's coming out end of fiscal year.
Well, I doubt it's going to be the end of this year, which means it'll be 18 months, so it's not really annualized.
I did say fiscal.
Yes, but
get in there.
But when we talk about analyze compared to that, either way, if it is March of next year, that's 18 months. That's not a year in between. So, and they can definitely reuse a lot of those assets over again. I think that if a game is ready, the game is ready. And I like Ubisoft's stance of going, hey, we know that we're kind of fucking up Assassin's Creed. Let's take time off, like you said. But if they have all kinds of assets already available to go, they already have a good game under the hood. They don't need to. I guess
as long as it runs on PC.
Right.
That's the only thing I'm worried about.
The point I'm trying to make is you don't need to reinvent the wheel every single year. Maybe release 2 or 3 games on a 12 to 18 month basis and then take 2 years off to go back to the drawing board.
This is their blood dragon. This is their primal.
It feels like it's a prime. It's a prime entry to the Assassin's Creed franchise. I don't think this is going to be a Primal / Blood Dragon. But all I'm saying is that you don't have to reinvent every single thing in your game every year. But that said, I also don't want you shitting things out every year either. So I get with trepidation. I absolutely do with trepidation. But
I'm also one of those guys that thinks that overall there's more bad Assassin's Creeds than good ones.
I agree as well. All I'm saying is let's not shit the bed on this until we actually see it. No idea, by the way, if this is going to be a direct sequel to Assassin's Creed Unity or hundreds of years before. Keep in mind, the traditional classical Greece idea, when we think of classical Greece in their heyday, was hundreds of years before Assassin's Creed Origins. But Assassin's Creed Origins was named Origins for a reason. It was the start of the Brotherhood, so why would you have assassins a couple hundred years before they were founded? We don't know, and I've heard reports going both ways. There are people who are saying, yeah, it's hundreds of years before Origins. There are other people who are saying it's a direct sequel. So, who the hell knows? And honestly, given Assassin's Creed, it could be fucking both. Time travel is something that they do with. Deal with.
And for the record, I have no issues with Blood Dragon or Primal. I was actually using those as examples of doing that well.
In fact, I would say Blood Dragon's one of the better Far Cry games out there.
Yeah. Like when they do that half step and they like reuse the map, but they change it dramatically and put it in like a different world. I'm not mad about that. I just don't trust Ubisoft to do that.
I would say the bigger concern with Ubisoft isn't so much that Assassin's Creed itself is going to the Assassin's Creed Odyssey itself is going to be bad, but that all of their games are starting to look alike. Like, for example, you're playing the Crew 2's demo out now, right?
The beta just ended.
Okay, you played the beta for Crew 2, right?
Yes, I did.
It was open world, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Was there an equivalent of radio towers where you go to something and it unlocks parts of the map?
Absolutely.
Was there...
They are legitimately radio towers. You drive up these little satellite dish-looking things, and they show you where all the activities are near you on the map.
Were there mundane-ass side quests in it?
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
It's a driving game. I mean, if you count driving fast and driving over jumps...
I would say whatever...
There's like car challenges, which I guess can be mundane, but it's a car game, so...
I would say whatever other things I was going to throw in this have been my point has been proven in the fact that the Crew 2 has radio tower unlocks to unlock parts of the map.
Yep. The flippin' eagle eye nonsense from the first Assassin's Creed is here to stay forever.
All of their games are starting to look like one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm concerned when it comes to Ubisoft, because Ubisoft makes reliable product. Not necessarily super great in their entertaining product, although I will admit Origins was fantastic. It was a good refresher step for that series. But they're definitely safe. And I wouldn't be surprised when we actually see gameplay of Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's going to completely deviate from the spirit of the first one. It's going to be an open world. Here's all of your mini quests. Here's all of your side quests. Here's all of your radio towers. Go explore the world that we have made that looks a lot like Far Cry 5 and Assassin's Creed and The Crew and Watch Dogs and The Division. It's getting kind of silly. Anyways, I think that puts that topic to bed. Let's go ahead and get on to our final topic of the day. Now, everyone knows this is happening, so we're not going to get into a deep dive of the news. I'm going to give you a quick idea of what we know about it, but we're going to talk more about what we think it might be and what we want to see from it. Last week, David, Fallout 76 was announced.
Fallout 76.
And this is an article via Kotaku by the good old Jason Schreier. You know, that guy that we source roughly 30% of all of our news from.
Hell yeah. Well, it's not our fault he knows everyone.
It's not our fault that not only he knows anyone, but he's one of the few actual games journalists, as opposed to activist or blogger or like us that just rant about shit and hope someone watches. So, going from the article here. Fallout 76 is in fact an online survival RPG that is heavily inspired by games like DayZ and Rust, according to 3 people familiar with the project. Originally prototyped as a
Wah,
multiplayer
wah.
version of Fallout 4 with the goal of envisioning what an online Fallout game might look like, Fallout 76 has evolved quite a bit over those past few years, those sources said. It'll have quests and a story, like any other game from Bethesda Game Studios, a developer known for media RPGs like Skyrim. It'll also feature base building, just like 2015's Fallout 4, and other survival-based multiplayer mechanics according to their sources. One source cautioned that the gameplay is rapidly changing like it does in many online service games. But that's the core outline. Fallout 76 was meant to open 20 years after the nuclear war, allowing for a far less civilized setting than previous games. Fallouts 3 and 4, which are full of cities and settlements, both take place over 200 years after the war, after much of civilization has reconstructed. Remember I was talking about those hype levels?
Yep.
The
Well, I know
building...
you hear the idea of multiplayer and it drops you to the bottom, and then you add everything else in that statement and you're at negative, right?
Yeah, well, I don't say the bottom, but it does lower it. But the absolute worst part of Fallout 4 for me was those buildings of the settlements. I fucking hated that so much. And they spent so much time on the game focusing on that.
It's the Hearthstone Homewrecker whatever expansion for Skyrim. It's the same thing, just building houses. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to explore the wasteland. I actually downloaded a mod for that specific thing, where you would actually just zone out the towns. Like you're like, I click from here to here, and your people will just like build.
Yeah, it's. I think it's called like the Sim. It is a SimCity like mod. If you just type in SimCity Fallout, I'm sure it pops up. But yeah, you just click. I want these to be residential.
You don't have to build anything. You're just like, okay, you guys need more residential. You guys need more places to eat. You guys need more whatever, and then you just leave.
Yeah. And your people will do it for you. That said, I am eager to return to the world of Fallout. I am willing to give this a shot. Or let me rephrase that. I am holding judgment on it until I see more what this is.
Okay. I'd be surprised to hear you get down for a multiplayer-styled Fallout game.
Yeah, I should clarify. I'm not necessarily eager or willing to give this a shot. I am holding my judgment, and I am not just going to shit on this out the gate. I will say right now, that concept of anti-hype, that's all this announcement has been for me.
Dang.
And also, these are technically rumors. Technically, there's been no official idea of what this game is going to be other than that teaser trailer that has...
Can we talk about the fact that they got a whole bunch of people to stare at their Twitch stream for 24 hours, literally just looking at a bobblehead?
I had it running in the background. God damn it, who sings
like
Country
the way
Road?
the hype trains work nowadays are insane. People will just stare at nothing for a full day to get not even a trailer, to get the announcement of a teaser.
John Denver. Sorry, I was trying to think of who sang the song for that, and I knew it wasn't John Lennon. It's John Denver. Technically, that's all we officially know, but once again, this is we go to Jason Schreier a lot on this show. It's because he usually knows his shit, and he has legitimate sources. So if he's saying this is what it's going to be, I'm willing to bet this is what it's going to be. What do you think, David? We all know what I think about the game. What do you think?
Oh, I'll probably play it.
Any reason why? Would you play it solo, even though it seems multiplayer focused?
No, I'd play it multiplayer. If it's like Ark and Rust and Forest and games like that, I'll totally play this game.
Are you excited for it?
I need to see more.
Would you spend $60 on it?
I'm intrigued. Probably not.
I'm really worried about that too. I'm really worried about how they're going to sell this game.
Because I haven't spent $60 on any of those other like open world survival games.
I
don't think that genre is worth $60.
Another question, is this going to be an early access title? Because all that genre specifically, nothing ever seems to actually release for it. It always seems to be early access.
Okay, so here's the thing. You can't really put that out there because this is a Bethesda game.
Mm-hmm.
Every Bethesda game ever released is an early access title. Come on, son. This game will launch broken, buggy, and get a bunch of patches by the community. And
Fair enough.
Amazing,
Fair enough.
Like every other Bethesda game does.
Amazing?
Yeah.
Even Fallout 4?
Yeah.
Fallout 4 was good. I'm not saying it was bad. Fallout 4 gets a lot of hate.
My Fallout 4 is fun. I don't know what yours looks like.
Because you
Mine's
modded
got
it.
about 230 mods.
I see what you're
Tons of
getting.
fun.
I need to get that list of mods from you, by the way.
I got a whole bunch. They're great.
Anyways,
the alternate start, much like Skyrim, I have that, so you can start like not as that dude who starts in a vault.
yeah, that's a cool idea too. It like lets you start as like a dude on a boat.
Yeah,
a couple other things.
I started as a bandit.
Nice.
It's great.
So that's kind of what we think about Fallout 76. Please let us know what you think of the comments below, or even in chat if you're watching us live here. I think this game, man, is the internet going to get salty over this one, because I think there's a lot of people who think this is going to be Fallout 5 out there.
No way.
Oh.
Like enough people have been paying attention. They know it's not, because it doesn't have 5 in the title.
Oh, no, Monfer. I guarantee you, because all people see right now, keep in mind, most gamers don't go online and read about this shit and consume the stuff the way that we do. They don't check Reset Era or Twitter or follow IGN. All they do is they go into their local GameStop and they see a poster that says Fallout 76 coming soon.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's going to be salt on this one, and salt aplenty. I guarantee it.
I agree with that. I just don't think it's for the reasons you're saying.
Fair enough. Either way, we're not going to know about any of this stuff until next week, and likely not even see what the game plays like until they release later this year, early next year, or even beyond. But that doesn't mean no good if I want something right now, David.
Ah, you want to hear some new games you can play?
Abso-goddamn-lutely. What do we got coming out this week?
There's a whole bunch of stuff, actually. It's kind of a weird time. I don't think any of it's necessarily up your alley, but we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about.
A little bit of it is.
Coming out this week, something that you're not going to play, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle for PC, PS4, and Switch. It's a 2D fighting game from Arc System Works, the guys that make beautiful fighting games. Just look at any trailers for Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Now, is this Blaze or Blaze? Because they don't have the E on the end of it.
I don't care, and I've always called it Blaze Blue, and
I think it is Blaze Blue. But yeah, you're right. These games do look gorgeous if you like the hand-drawn 2D shit.
Well, because here's the thing, is it's not actually 2D. It's fully 3D, but made to look like it's 2D. Which is why it looks so dang good.
Yeah, it looks pretty.
But anyway, this is an Arc System Works fighting game, and it will actually be a versus style game. So like the Marvel vs. Capcom games that we used to get.
So you let me just make sure, when you say versus game, I make sure I have this right there on my head. That means you kind of like pick a roster of a couple characters per fight, and you switch in and out of them?
From various game franchises.
Ah, okay.
So this game has characters from the Blaze Blue series. It has characters from Persona 4 Arena.
Wait, really?
It has, yes, Under Night in Birth and the RWBY franchise. So that's an Arc System game, and Atlas, and French Bread, and Rooster Teeth.
Who do they have from Persona in here? Do you have a list? Do you have a list of those characters?
I don't have a full character list.
Okay, fair enough. That's surprising to me.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a 2v2 tag battle system, similar to like Marvel vs. Capcom or the Tekken Tag Tournament. And the gameplay mechanics aren't going to be purely Blaze Blue. It's going to be like a mismatch of the various fighting mechanics kind of shoved together.
Do we happen to know, and you might not have the answer to this, is it going to be the same system universal across all characters? Because there was that nightmare that was, what was it, Capcom Ultimate Fighting Championship, whatever it was, when people from like one fighting game might have had parry, but another fighting game didn't.
Well, I always go back to Capcom versus SNK, like Capcom versus SNK 2 specifically, because all the SNK characters had an SNK style like meter and combo system, and the Capcom characters played like Capcom characters with super bars. And you could actually pick like the style, like which game specifically their system comes from, but they balance it so that it works together.
Okay. I just know that's been an issue in the past. I know
because there's a
fuck
bunch of
all
fighting
about
games
fighting
in this list
games
that I haven't played.
Okay.
But it'll probably be fun. I'd imagine I'll probably get some amount of hours in it in the next few weeks, so I can let you know.
Awesome.
I play most of the things that came out that have fighting in them.
What else
have
we got?
Happy Birthdays coming out for Switch. This is a game that came out a bit ago for PS4 and Xbox from Mr. Yasuhiro Wada from Toybox. And it's a sandbox game where you make like cube worlds that look vaguely Minecrafty, but it's interesting in that you actually change the geography and different plant and animal life will grow in the areas. So
Yeah,
if you make it really deserty, you'll get certain kind of animals, and basically you go around and you like catalog things you find.
I think it would be a disservice to say this is a Minecraft clone.
No.
But
I
it
just
definitely
mean the visual style.
yeah, it definitely gives off those vibes with the cube looks to it. And I'm not saying you were making that claim. I'm just saying it would be easy to dismiss it as such, but I think there's more here to it than just that.
Yeah, I actually played probably a good 20 minutes of this at the Nice event like a while ago, and I thought it was pretty interesting. If you're into collecting and exploring and just like more peaceful style games, it could be pretty fun and something that you could tap on the Switch and take with you. Could be awesome. Take a look if you're interested in cultivating a ecosystem. If that sounds boring, I wouldn't play it. We also have Onrush. This is for PS4 and Xbox One. It's an arcade-style car combat game. Drive cars, motorcycles, off-road vehicles. It reminds me of the MotorStorm franchise. If you remember those games where you have trucks and cars and motorcycles and you're on hills and things are falling apart and you're all ramming into each other and doing stunts and trying to take each other out. So very arcadey racing game.
Okay.
And it looks pretty decent. So the funny thing is that none of the racing modes in the game have an actual like cross the finish line first to win mechanic.
Huh?
Yeah, there's like get over the first team to get the high score, or get enough boost, or you got a bunch of checkpoints and people explode if they don't make it in time. And there's King of the Hill and there's all this stuff, different kind of stuff. But there's not like a traditional race, which makes it interesting.
Okay, interesting.
We also have the answer to a question no one asked. What would you do if you needed a sequel to Shaq Fu in 2018? The answer is you'd make Shaq Fu a Legend Reborn for PS4 and PC.
Didn't this game get kickstarted?
I believe it did like a while ago, and it's actually coming out. And yes, this is a modern day take on the old school Shaquille O'Neal starred Shaq Fu game, where you play as Shaq and you master different martial arts moves and battle techniques to fight a bunch of bad guys and ninjas and all kinds of nonsense to kill the mysterious Black Star ninja.
All right, so it wasn't officially kickstarted. It was on Indiegogo. It needed $450,000 to achieve its goal. It got $458,000, so barely squeaking in under there. And the product owner, to give you an idea of how seriously we should take these games, the project owner is called Big D's Productions.
Yeah.
Big D's what, you might ask? I'm pretty sure you can guess.
It looks funny, if that helps. It looks ridiculous. It looks absurd. It's probably going to be bad.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
I wish it was 2D. But, whatever.
All right, what else we got?
The tutorial page says press square to commence ass whoopings.
No, yeah. It feels like it's trying too hard. This feels like a try-hard game. I ain't into it.
We'll see. We also have coming out Elder Scrolls Online Somerset. So this is the new expansion for ESO. Continuing to prove that we're not getting a new Elder Scrolls anytime soon, as they desperately jam every fucking world ever concocted in the Elder Scrolls universe into this online game.
Did ESO go free to play?
I don't believe so, but I think it's you buy it once and you have it.
I kind of want to play this one day. It's always been like in the back of my mind, like Final
last
Fantasy
year was
14.
Like the year of ESO, and it became great, is what I've heard.
Yeah, same with Final Fantasy 14. Both those games are games I'm like, man, I really want to play once just to give an idea, but I just do not have time for MMOs anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I love Elder Scrolls, but they're always single-player games to me, and I don't want to play with other people. But there's a whole bunch of people that want to play it, and they're getting a new expansion. This is the first time people are going to be able to explore Somerset since the original Elder Scrolls game, so that's kind of cool. And they're using this to launch a whole bunch of new storylines and all kinds of stuff. Apparently, there's like a ton of stuff to do in this new expansion. I don't even have the full list because I didn't want to write it all down. Yeah. It comes out on PC and Mac first on the 21st, and this is now the console kids getting it. It
came out 21st of last month, right?
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. All right. Just want to be clear.
Yep, and yeah, this is going up to its 4-year anniversary. So they've done something.
Been off
right.
a while.
Now we have the infectious madness of Dr. Decker.
Oh, I'm excited for
PS4,
this.
Xbox One, and Switch. This game's also on Steam, I believe. I knew for a fact that you were going to be excited because it's a damn FMV, weird as shit game where it's got full motion video, actors in it that you You play as a psychiatrist trying to solve a murder while you're treating the patients of this guy that died, and you ask people questions, like you type it in, and people respond to you, but it's like a video. You're watching a person actually talk
This
to you
game
and like
reminds
answer
me a
questions.
lot of Her Story. Now, I thought Her Story was all right. I think that a lot of people gave it way too many accolades for what it actually deserved. But it's the same type of game. So you're essentially talking to a chatbot, and except the chatbot is an actual video that talks back to you. And you're trying to figure out a murder mystery, and you throw in a dash of Cthulhu on top. And I know it's fucking trite, and everything's going Cthulhu, it seems, but I do love me some Cthulhu. Not that it's officially Cthulhu, but it has like that Lovecraftian feel to it. I'm legitimately excited to play this. It's just not on the must-play level of stuff. It's on the middling tier of stuff to get.
Well, you have tons of fun. I'm never going to touch this ever.
Fair enough.
FMV games enough for me. Also coming out, we have Vampire, spelled with a Y and no E, for Xbox, PS4, and PC. It's an action role-playing game from a third-person perspective where you play as a guy that got turned into a vampire. And you got to go, kill innocent people and drink the blood.
Potentially.
But
go ahead.
You actually have to track people. Like, you find a target and you study them and you learn their habits and you get clues, and you're wandering around London and there's a whole bunch of inhabitants. And
Victorian London, I might add.
Yeah, so
actually, I don't think it's quite Victorian. I think it's World War I, so it could be like early 20th century, like post-Victorian London. Might not be Victorian. It could be a little bit later than that.
It's London. I know that part's right. Everything else is him making stuff up.
This is from Don't Nod, by the way. These are the guys that did Life is Strange and Remember Me, both games that were interesting, but their reach definitely exceeded their grasp on them, in my opinion. I know, much like Her Story, Life is Strange got way more accolades than I felt it deserved, but it was an alright game. So I have an eye on this too. It sounds like it's getting reviews.
It seems interesting. Like, you're trying to survive as a vampire, and obviously you can eat people, and that's how you level up. But you can also apparently finish the game without killing anyone.
Apparently it's really hard to do, but
that also makes it so you don't ever level up, because you have to drink to level up.
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting take on things. From what I see, reviews are all over the place. Some sites, including the one that I write for often on Game Critics, gave it a 9. Other places are giving it as low as like a 5 and a 6. The general consensus, however, seems to be the story is amazing, but from a technical standpoint, the game is kind of busted.
Unfortunate.
Which is unfortunate. What else we got, David?
Also coming out, something that I might be playing, it looks pretty fun to me at least, is Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr. Title's
way too long.
They don't know how to name anything, but at least Games Workshop is actually letting the 40K license be used. We got all those different Total War Warhammer games, so let's get some more 40K.
Yeah. And it has been on PC for almost a year at this point, by the way.
Anyway, this is a top-down, action RPG style game. So, kind of looks like a Diablo or a Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Does anyone remember that game?
I would say more along the lines of Grim Dawn.
Okay.
Path of Exile.
Those are the same kinds of games.
Oh, and let me amend my previous statement. It has been on early access on PC since last year.
But yeah, it's very action-oriented, melee ranged. It's pretty graphic. You're running around murdering stuff, so people kind of compare it to Diablo a little bit. There's a lot of blood and gore because the 40K universe is pretty dark. But it also has cover, which is interesting in a game like this. But most important to me, it can be played solo and in co-op. And I like co-op top-down action games, so I'll probably run around in that.
Falls into that same category, right? If I'm absolutely bored and it's on sale, I'll probably pick it up. But until then,
Okay. Well, if you don't like that, how about Bloodstained Curse of the Moon?
An amazing game coming out on Xbox One, but it already came out on PC. And goddamn, if you love the old style Castlevania Ninja Gaiden games, I'm not even talking Super Nintendo, I'm talking regular Nintendo. Holy hell, you need to buy this game.
Yeah, it's definitely old school Castlevania. But it's not named Castlevania, and don't tell anybody that you think it's Castlevania, because there are probably some kind of copyright nonsense. But yeah, you battle with swords and whips. Retro style action game brought to you by game creator Koji Igarashi.
It's Iga. Iga.
Yeah.
He is the progenitor of the Metroidvania style of game.
Yeah, he made one half of that.
Absolutely did.
Yeah, you play as a guy who wanders around a castle killing demons, and it plays like old Castlevania games.
Yeah, it's a quasi prequel to Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, I think it's called. I think Ritual of the Night's the subtitle.
This game was actually I think a Kickstart.
It was a Kickstarter reward.
Yeah, reward. We also have Shape of the World for Xbox One, Switch, and PS4. This feels like a journey game, like a flower game, where it's, you know, a first-person exploration and like an organic world that like reacts to you being there. It looks very pretty and psychedelic, and there's flowers that bloom and waterfalls and mountains and all kinds of stuff. Basically, it's like a 2-ish hour game where you wander around in the forest looking at nice things.
That could be pretty if the price is right.
We have Banner Saga 2 for Switch, which is the sequel to the first Banner Saga that's now on Switch. Tactical role-playing game that... You know what? I'm going to let you do it because you got mad at me when I explained the last Banner Saga.
So, the Banner Saga is a turn-based strategy role-playing game crossed with the Oregon Trail set in a Norse mythology. The second one is a direct sequel to the first one as you lead your band of refugees from some destructive assholes who are fleeing the north from an even more destructive asshole. The reason why it's coming over the Switch is, 1, everything is coming over the Switch, and 2, Banner Saga 3 is nigh. So that trilogy will be rounding up, and I am really looking forward to finishing that because I'm super intrigued by the story they got going on here. The price is right. I'd recommend picking it up if you haven't yet. It does a very beautiful art style to it. It looks all hand-drawn. And it's just a solid strategy game. I do have some quibbles with how it plays out, especially when it comes down to the last person on the field, because I'm not going to get into it here. But overall, I like it quite a bit. And if you have not yet picked it up, despite it being out for quite a while at this point, I would say take a look at it. But I would also... It's almost mandatory to play the first one because they are direct sequels to each other.
All right. Well, there you go. Those are your options.
All right. Thanks for that, David. Is there anything else you want to add up before we finish up the show today?
If you don't like any of that stuff, Pokemon Quest is free on Switch.
Yeah. And we are aware a whole bunch of Pokemon news came out last week. It's one of those things where if you're a fan of Pokemon, you already know all about it. And honestly, David and I are really not as versed in Pokemon as we should be, so we couldn't do that topic any justice if we tried talking about it. I would look at it and go,
I missed the boat.
Yeah, and I know maybe 5 Pokemon total, and there's like Pikachu, Turtle Guy, Snack, and
nailed it.
Red Fire Breather.
Red Fire Breather.
Right? That's like the 5 main ones. They hang out on an island.
Yeah, you did a great job. Super proud of you.
Okay. So we are aware that exists. Take a look at it if you want. It's not that we hate it. It's just I just flat out don't know anything about it. Let's see. Mirage Leonardo, before we end up here, says Fallout, don't care. Hitman lost interest after Hitman contracts. Let's go Pikachu, mixed feelings.
Yeah, I don't know
fair
how
enough.
I feel about a sequel to Pokemon Go that you play on Switch. I'm more interested in the actual standalone game that everyone's wanted the whole time.
Yeah, and let's be honest here. Let's Go Pikachu is Pokemon Go too, with some added accoutrements to it. Hitman, I totally understand that Hitman contracts just fucking wiped out all of your interest into it. But I am told that episodic Hitman is worth your time. If you find the whole thing on Steam during one of their massive deep discount sales, I think you should probably take a look at it. I know I need to one day. And I'm being kind of hypocritical trying to push a game that I myself don't own. But it's also on my list of I gotta fucking get it. Fallout, I get it. Fallout 4 is good, but when compared to The Witcher 3 that came out that same year or close to it, oh man, dude, that game really feels dated.
They just need to give that universe back to Obsidian, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, and that's nothing to that's DLC set aside. I thought the Fallout 4 DLC was kind of crap. Far Harbor was all right, but everything else was who fucking cares. Anyways. Thanks for dropping by, Mirage Leonardo, but unfortunately, this is the end of the show. This has been GamePoints 129. We do stream live every Monday at...
Nice.
We
Mondays,
stream
9 p.m.
every Monday
Pacific time.
at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. Next week is the big E3 show, by the way. We are going to be covering all the conferences except Nintendo, because they technically take place the day before, including Sony's, which, as we talked about earlier, tends to wrap up 30 minutes before we go live. So it's going to be a shit ton of information, and they always run extremely long. If you cannot join us live, however, even though we do appreciate it because you can interact with us, you can chat, we try to answer questions, you can bring up your own topics. But if you can't do it live, check out our YouTube page. Just type in GamePoints one word, which should pop right up. Regardless of where you're watching at, like, subscribe, give bits, dislike, bitch about it, any number of things. Just be interactive with us. We do appreciate it. You know the e-bigger routine at this point. I don't need to share it with you, but I'm going to anyways. If you want to follow the show, you can do so on Twitter at GamePoints PC. You can follow myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21, and you can follow David Smith over there at PastLife_Satori. Anyways, without further ado, that has been GamePoints episode 129, and until next week, we're out of here.